Good evening and welcome to the Bison Information Network. I'm Lydia Lafine.
And I'm Jacob Morgan. We have the latest campus and local news coming up, so don't go anywhere. Looking for something sweet to eat during Dead Week? Stop by Severinsen Hall to get some free donuts. The event will be held in the lounge on the first floor on December 7th. Donuts will be handed out from 8 a.m. until 10 a.m. Make sure to get one while they last.
Tomorrow at 6 p.m., the Wellness Center will be hosting Women with Altitude, a women-exclusive event focusing on community building for women climbers. Registration is free and participation is encouraged, regardless of ability or experience. Be sure to register on MyNDSU or on the Wellness Center website.
Theater NDSU is performing Alabaster. The play takes place on a small farm in Alabaster, Alabama. This is a student-written play and will be hosted throughout the upcoming weekend. Catch it Friday or Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Otherwise, the Sunday afternoon showing at 2 p.m. The show is set to run about 2.5 hours.
The next few months may be a rough journey, says President Cook after reaching out to the NDSU community for suggestions on how to enact budget cuts. Originally announced late last month, Cook revealed some options being considered in a news conference earlier this week. This includes potential plans to consolidate the 7 colleges NDSU has into 4 or 5, as well as cutting or merging high-cost, low-interest majors. Immediate cuts to majors and programs are unlikely. Fortunately, Cook said that NDSU will consider new investment ideas to meet the needs of the workforce. Are you looking to have your voice heard? Send an email to ndsu.transform@ndsu.edu by December 30th.
An investigation is underway after a drone was spotted flying over Hector International Airport in Fargo. The drone was seen by a pilot this past Tuesday around 11 a.m. Drones can be dangerous to flights coming in and out of airports if they are in the airspace. All drones are required to have a pre-flight approval from the Federal Aviation Association. The drone on Tuesday was not approved by anyone at the airport. As of today, the investigation is still going on.
Google has agreed to a $391.5 million settlement with 40 states to resolve an investigation into how the company tracked users' locations. This all began in 2018 after Associated Press launched an investigation which came to the conclusion that Google continued to track people's location data after they disabled the location history feature. Company spokesperson Jose Castaneda stated, "We have settled this investigation, which was based on outdated product policies that we changed years ago." As for the future of Google, the company has agreed to make location tracking practices more transparent to users. $4.1 million of this settlement are planned to go to the Attorney General's office, where it is unclear what it will be used for.
The Supreme Court says that the Biden administration plans to cancel student loans will remain blocked for now. The justices have agreed to take up the case. President Biden announced the student loan forgiveness plan back in August of 2022. The plan was to allow high school graduates to go to college without the lifelong burdens of student loans. The administration wanted a court order that would have allowed the plan to go through even as court challenges proceed. The court will ultimately decide if the loan cancellations are legal by late next June.
Prominent singer and songwriter Christine McVie passed away yesterday, November 30th. Her cause of death has not been released, but a family statement said that she passed away peacefully at a hospital Wednesday morning following a short illness. Later posted on Twitter, the band paid tribute to McVie, saying she was, quote, "the best friend anyone could have in their life." She will be remembered not just as one of the defining makers of 1970s rock, but as an inspiration to the classic rock community. Coming up next, I was able to interview Matt Winarski about what the future will look like for the Gold Star Marching Band as playoff season officially begins. Stay tuned.
No kid deserves to go hungry. But try as they might, not every family can afford to put food on the table every day. That's why the Great Plains Food Bank and their partner agencies work every day to bring food to our hungry neighbors. Every dollar donated can provide 4 meals for those in need. Go to greatplainsfoodbank.org and donate today so no kid in North Dakota ever has to go hungry.
My name is Becky Parker, and I'm a news anchor at WDAY-TV. I graduated from NDSU in 2010 with a degree in journalism, broadcasting, and mass communication technologies, and then I had an emphasis on broadcasting. Principles of broadcast production and advanced broadcast production. Those were favorites because they were the most relevant for career experience. You're calling people for interviews, you're writing an article. It doesn't just feel like an assignment, it's like actually doing it. I was the news director for the first full semester of the Bison Information Network. The BIN advisor here was very much invested in me to actually have a career in broadcasting. He helped me get my internship and my first job. The people in NDSU's Department of Communication are really interested and helpful in getting students the connections that they need in order to get a job beyond school.
The NDSU Bookstore, where every true fan and alum goes to get their pride on. Gear up with a variety of high-quality t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, and more. Made by top-of-the-line brands like Under Armour, Nike, and CI Sport to help you show off your Bison pride. The NDSU Bookstore has everything you need in your two favorite colors, green and gold.
Welcome back to the Bison Information Network. I'm Lydia Lafine, and I have a special guest with me here today. Matt, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, my name is Matt Winarski. I'm the Assistant Director of Athletic Bands here at NDSU, where I serve as an adjunct faculty member in the Challey School of Music.
So you say you work in the Challey School of Music. I was wondering where you work. Do you work with the band, choir?
So preliminarily, my day-to-day things that I do is I work with the marching band and I work with the athletic bands. So during the fall, that's very primarily Monday, Wednesday, Friday, marching band practices, and then football games. During the fall, we do lots of different pep bands. So we've got volleyball going on, the start of men's and women's basketball, and then in the spring, it's only pep band, men's and women's basketball, with a little smattering of here and there we'll do wrestling matches, track meets, things like that whenever the community and the school calls on us.
Really? I was wondering, are you only involved with the NDSU marching band and athletic bands, or do you sort of diversify around the Fargo-Moorhead area?
So outside of being the Assistant Director of Athletic Bands at NDSU, I do also work at Concordia College, where I'm the Instrumental Ensembles Manager, where I work with the band and the orchestra. I do a lot of their logistics, their concerts, programs, travel, things like that. So that side of my job is very logistics-based, whereas here at NDSU, it's a lot of music making, marching, and some logistics, of course, too, because, I mean, 175 people, it takes a lot to, to do that.
I believe it. I absolutely believe it. I was wondering what types of stress you encounter just day-to-day juggling all of these things. You know, it surely must be a little bit of a hard gig. What do you do to cope with that?
You know, I've been doing marching band for quite a long time, so for me, I don't even think of it as it's stressful. It's kind of part of the job, making sure we have practice fields, checking the weather. It's, checking in on our students, because when you have so many students, there's illnesses, there's, class trips, things like that. So we do a lot of our preparation for rehearsals and performances based around, 50 million X factors. And still every Saturday when we have games, we perform a full show and, perform for, almost 20,000 people. So it's a lot of fun, little stressful, but I love every bit of it.
How long have you been doing this?
So I have been here at NDSU since 2017, when I first started the Masters of Music program at the Challey School of Music. So I was a graduate assistant. I started with Sigurd Johnson as one of my advisors, and I worked with the marching band because that's just something I've always done. So I did that all through my master's and doctoral work. Before NDSU, I worked in the public schools, so Alexandria, Minnesota, and Gwinner and Foreman, North Dakota. At both school systems, I was able to do marching band. Specifically at Alexandria, they have a competitive summer marching program.
Really?
So getting to do that was really fun, and actually competing with students, helping create shows that were entertaining, but also going to get us points with judges, things like that. And then my undergrad was at University of Wisconsin Eau Claire, which has a 400 plus person marching band, and I was drum major there for a couple years, and so yeah, I've been doing marching band for a long time, and it's just something I can't stop doing because I just really love it.
It's sort of like a core part of your identity, would you say?
100%.
Yeah. Did you first get involved in high school or even before then? Did you like do instrumental stuff in elementary school?
So I grew up down south. I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, and marching band down south is really different than marching band up here in the Midwest, just because we started marching band, competitive marching band in the middle school.
Really?
So 6th grade, I joined band, and then you joined marching band, you competed in parades, and then once you got to the high school level, then it was field marching shows and competitions every weekend. We competed across the state of Tennessee and things like that. And yeah, so it was really competitive down south, and it's been fun up here in the Midwest to do more fun. And that's what college marching band typically is. There's no competitions, there's no like grand championships for college marching bands. You have an audience that is usually, football fans and playing music and making shows that they'll enjoy. And that's what we do here at NDSU, and I love that.
You keep on bringing up competitive marching. I'm wondering what the differences are between field marching, what we do in college, and competitive marching, which is becoming a more common form of marching art in high school.
So at the high school level, competitive marching looks very different than what we do at the college level in the sense that there's more pictures and sets that the marchers learn. So any song that they play could have anywhere from 15 to 30 moves. Whereas for like the Gold Star Band, we can do anywhere from 5 to 10 in a song. That's about where our range is. So there's a lot more movement. It's a lot more often. There's a lot less standing still in playing because you're trying to impress judges not only with your playing but also with what's called general effect, which is kind of just the general feel of how everything's going. Like, oh, that was a really cool horn flash or like something like that, and that gets your GE score up. So you're getting scored with really intricate rubrics, where at a college game, like a game day, it's just like we play and the audience clapping and cheering and kind of going crazy is kind of our barometer on how we're doing.
Well, that's wonderful to hear. And speaking of how, the audience is reacting, how do you think playoffs will go upcoming with the band? Do you think that, or I suppose just having to throw everything together sort of last minute as we keep on winning these games down to Frisco,
Right.
What do you think the upcoming weeks, months are going to look like?
So we have a really unique system with the FCS playoff system. If you're in the big FBS teams, the Big Ten, the SEC, you go to a bowl game after your season's done. Or if you get lucky, you get to go into the very, very inclusive or exclusive playoff system that they have, which is very few teams, and then there's a national championship game. We get to do this massive playoff system that's kind of similar to what they do in basketball. So every weekend is packed with you either win and you move on, or you lose and you are done for the season. So what's been fun for us is that we kind of have been in a rhythm over the last decade of how this goes. We get Thanksgiving weekend off because usually we get a bye because the team has been playing amazing, and then we usually will do a select show for the next game, but then we think about it week to week on what we're going to do, just because, one, we don't know when the game time is. We don't know whether it's going to be Friday or Saturday. So if it's a Friday, well, that's a school day, so that's kind of throws a wrench in a lot of what a game day looks like. So that really affects kind of our decision making. So the way Connor Challey, the director of athletic bands, and I kind of treat it is we go game by game. We kind of have a skeleton plan of like, these are the shows we'd like to do, but we make sure every Saturday we cheer loudly and we hope that we get to move on, so that when it gets to the time of we win the semifinals, knock on wood, we can make those plans for Frisco and thinking about those kind of things and working with the other band and the really fun parts of marching band when you get to travel, be around friends, be around really diehard fans. Things like that. So it's just a lot of X factors.
Well, hey, I appreciate the insight that you've given me today, and I want to say thank you for coming and interviewing with me today, Matt. Once again, I'm Lydia Lafine with the Bison Information Network, and coming up next, we have Dash Menzel coming with Bison Sports. Don't go anywhere.
I'm your friend.
I am your coworker.
I'm your neighbor.
There's no set person that defines who needs help in North Dakota.
I play cards with your grandmother every week.
Hunger is becoming more and more widespread and more known because there are people standing up and saying, hey, this can't happen. We can't be having this in our state, in our community.
I sit next to you in math class.
It's proving that they're learning better and they're not coming to school so hungry on Monday morning. We're engaging them and we're helping them learn. I mean, people want to help their fellow citizens, and in this food bank, in this agency, that is exactly what's happening, is people really, truly care.
I'm here.
I'm here to change the faces.
I'm here to change the faces of hunger.
One kid, one mentor, plus one moment can unlock limitless potential. One heart-to-heart, one inside joke. 30,000 youth are waiting. Be there for one of them. It's time. Become a big today.
The first round of the FCS playoffs began last Saturday, and the Bison were able to enjoy a weekend off after securing the third seed in the playoffs with a 42-21 win over North Dakota 2 weeks ago. To recap the regular season, the Bison started out winning their first two games in dominant fashion before losing in a close 31-28 game against FBS Arizona. The Bison would win three more before losing again in the battle for the Dakota marker against South Dakota State. This would mark the first time since 2015 that the Bison recorded multiple losses in the same regular season. This wouldn't stop the Bison as they won their last four games to finish with a record of 9-2. For some season stats, QB Cam Miller threw for 1,458 yards and 10 touchdowns. Hunter Lipke was the leading rusher with 621 rushing yards, and Zach Mathis was the leading receiver with 330 yards. And the defense had 14 turnovers on the season, 11 of them being interceptions. The Bison begin their quest for FCS Championship number 10 as they will play the Montana Grizzlies this Saturday at 2:30 p.m. in the Fargo Dome. This will be the first time these two teams have met since 2015, where the Bison eliminated Montana in the second round with a score of 37-6. Men's basketball competed for the 3 straight days in the Lobo Classic in Albuquerque, New Mexico this past weekend. They started on Friday with an 80-70 loss to Northern Colorado. Grant Nelson was the leading scorer with 31 points. He also had 7 rebounds and 3 blocks. Andrew Morgan had 14 points and 3 rebounds. It didn't get much better on Saturday as the Bison lost again, this time 76-55 to New Mexico. Andrew Morgan led the way in scoring with 22 points. He also had 8 assists. Bowden Scumberg had 14 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. And on Sunday, the Bison would drop their third game of the weekend against Jacksonville State with a score of 81-71. Jakari White was the top scorer with 19 points. Luke Yoder had 15 points, 2 rebounds, and 3 assists. And Grant Nelson had 10 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists. The Bison are now 1-6. Their next game will be on the road against Eastern Washington this Saturday at 4 p.m. Women's basketball looked to continue their strong start to the season at the Nugget Classic this past weekend. They played the first of 2 games on Friday against Boise State and won 68-53. Heaven Hamling led the way for the Bison with 23 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. Elle Evans had 13 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists. The women also won their second game against Nevada on Sunday with a score of 73-68. Heaven Hamling had a historic day, scoring a career high of 39 points. Elle Evans scored 10 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists. And with that 39-point performance, Heaven Hamling reached the 1,000-point mark in her career. Women's basketball team is still undefeated with a record of 6-0, and they look to continue that streak as they head up to Ypsilanti, Michigan to face Eastern Michigan tonight at 6 p.m. Volleyball's regular season and Summit League tournament may be over, but that doesn't mean that their season is done quite yet. They received an invitation to play in the NIVC volleyball tournament in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. They start tomorrow at 2 p.m. against Davidson. You can watch that game on ESPN+. Finally, track and field will begin their season with the Dakota Alumni Classic at the Shelley E-League Indoor Center on Friday at 11:30 a.m. Well, that is all for sports. Now let's take it over to weather with Coy Hartle. Coy, what is the weather outlook for our first week in December?
Well, Dash, it will be a little bit colder like the cold we've been seeing today. However, it will start to warm up as we move throughout the week. Starting off with the current conditions, taking a look at the numbers coming to us from Hector International Airport. Currently, we do have numbers at 31 degrees Fahrenheit for the temperature right now. Wind chill of 19 degrees. Humidity is down at 64%, so not a whole lot to worry about there. And then winds are out of the southeast at 15 miles per hour with gusts of 22. Taking a look at the hour by hour for the rest of the night, as you can see, we do have cloudy and overcast skies throughout much of the night, starting off in the high 20s, and we will drop down as the night goes on into early tomorrow morning into the low 20s. Looking at the skycast from the Fargo area, this morning the sun rose at 7:51 a.m., sunset at 4:40, gave us about 8 hours and 49 minutes of daylight there. And then looking at the moon phase tonight, we are in the wax and gibbous phase currently, and we do have a full moon coming up in just a couple days, also known as the cold moon, which is pretty fitting for the temperatures that we will be seeing later in the week. Taking a look at what's going on across the country, as you can see, not really a whole lot of cold temperatures besides parts of Montana where they reach the single digits. However, for much of the Midwest, we are seeing temperatures in the 30s and 40s for there. And then across much of the east and the southern states, we are seeing temperatures in the high 40s, high 50s for that. And then down in the Florida Panhandle, we are even seeing some 70s temperatures for there. Taking a look at the rain and snow forecast, as you can see currently in the Red River Valley, we can expect some snow in the next 48 hours. Not a whole lot to worry about there. And then we are seeing some snow across the Rocky Mountain areas, and along with some higher inches, in the Sierra Nevada range. And then we do have some rainfall going on the eastern side of the country as well. And then here's just a little notice sent out by the National Weather Service office in Bismarck, just what to look forward to for the next day or so. We will have some blowing snow happening in the Fargo area. Fargo is also right on the edge of the patchy blowing snow, so not a whole lot to worry about there. Just wanted to make you guys aware of that. Taking a look at the weekend coming up for the next 3 days, starting off tomorrow, we might get some flurries, about 1 inch to 3 inches of snow, but not a whole lot to worry about there. Saturday and Sunday temperatures will drop off with highs in the teens and then lows of -4 and 6 degrees. For the rest of the week, on Monday, we will gain some of that cloud cover back with a high of 19 degrees and a low of -1. Then on Tuesday, temperatures really start to drop off. This is when it really starts to get chilly, with a high of 5 and a low of -13. And then Wednesday and Thursday are both pretty similar, with highs in the low teens and lows around -10 degrees for those days. Well, that's all I got for the forecast for this week. If any of you watching at home see any interesting weather in your area, then be sure to snap a photo or grab a video. You can submit them online at www.ndsusbin.com/news. Well, that's all I got for this week. Back to you at the desk, Dash.
So not much snow to start the month of December, huh, Coy?
No, not really a whole lot of snow besides the flurries we'll see in tomorrow, but that probably won't stick around even if we do get that. But it will be cold towards the end of the week.
All right, well, those snowball fights and snow angels are going to have to wait a few more weeks then. Well, that's all for Bison Information Network News. Thank you all for watching, and have a great night.